Professor Remi Ayede. On the podium this morning, I shall be joined by Barrister Yomi Ogunlola and Professor Remi Ayede, who will be looking at issues. What transpired this week? Nyesom Wike and his theatre again after the PDP NWC National Working Committee meeting. We'll also be looking at the state of the nation. I'll be speaking with the former Speaker of the Oyo State House of Assembly, Honorable Aziz Mukala Akonde Alarakwe. We'll be discussing issues of Nigeria, the chances of political parties ahead of the 2023 elections. We'll also be looking at what an APC chieftain said about its presidential candidate during the week. Many of these and more. Dear listener, you will also be part of this discussion this morning. It promises to be fun and action-packed. Remember, my name is CHIKE OGBOGU, and the station is 32 FM 94.9. A 100 years after colonization, Africa is still busy blaming Europe. A 100 years after colonization, Africa is still blaming Europe. Meanwhile, the United States of America was also colonized, not just by Britain, but by the collective onslaught of Great Britain, France, Germany, Russia, and many other countries. Africa had to fight an 8-year revolutionary independence war against England for their self-rule declared in 1776. America. Today, America is termed one of the greatest nations in the world. A country of mountains, bitter snow, and deserts. A country built by people who worked the earth with their bare hands to become the richest and most powerful nation in the world. Today, wherever America goes, Britain follows like an obedient lapdog. But Africa, my Africa, the story is different. What is different with Africa? What is it about Africa? Every day, some adult Africans bemoan their colonization as the reason for the sorry state of their lives and come up with excuses and ridiculous conspiracy theories for their absolute inability to create anything or better themselves or their place. Sometimes you get angry, but you don't want to. Meanwhile, I won't get angry. Africa constantly hangs on the weepy eye story of enslavement and repatriation. Yet, but when given the change to control their own fate in their own land, excuses upon excuses upon excuses. You hear such things like they amalgamated us, they colonized us, they forced this system of government on us. They, who are the they? You keep giving excuses every day. It is so contemptible and so absolutely ludicrous. A bad workman always quarrels with his tools, while better workers are busy achieving results. There's hardly any country in the world that wasn't colonized at one time or the other in history. And almost every country is a product of amalgamation, directly or indirectly, when you look at it. But trust Africa with perennial victim mindset to make them feel good about their failures. The funny thing is that most of the African countries, or most of the countries in Africa, were colonized by other stronger African tribes too, especially before the coming of the Europeans. Let me take you down, or bring you down to Oyo State. The old Oyo Empire conquered and colonized most of the western and midwest Nigeria. The Fulanis colonized the Hausas. And the list goes on and on and on and on. Permit me to speak pidgin. But every day, we not go hear word about what England do. What England do us. Why is the black man, the African man, always giving excuses for not developing, for not moving ahead? Don't hold yourself back, trying to prove that you are the victim of global proportions. Don't hold yourself back, that you suffered and should be pitied. Don't do that. The African needs to move on. It is better to rise to greatness than to be a victim all your life. The one the world pities and doles out cash to help because everybody feels sorry for you. When they wake up, the first thing they say, oh, there's poverty in Africa. Let's go help them with money. They wake up, they say, oh, let's pity these people. Let's send them some mosquito nets. Malaria is ravaging them. The African man is always pitied because he made himself look that way. It's also the plight of the Native Americans inside America. The whites savaged their land and prospered from it. Then someone thought it was a great idea to create self-governing reservations where, for the victims, a place where Indians can practice their tribal ways with sponsorship from the US federal government, leading to Indian independence on free handouts. Why was the reservation system created? Let's go there. It was created because of extreme victimhood and reparation ideology. In the same manner, Africa keeps guilt-stripping around Europe, and it keeps receiving free aid from guilt-stricken Europe. Then you ask yourself, to what end? Africa depends so much on foreign aid, but has no drive to develop. Then we keep blaming them. Oh, they were our colonial masters. They conquered us. They caused the amalgamation. Blaming. The more you blame people for your woes, the more they look at you in a very pitiable way. Most African Americans today speak of slavery and the misfortunes of the black man in America. Well, there are real issues. Yes, real issues, valid points. However, the reality is that most of them have a life that's 1,000,000 times better than the average African in Africa. Let me tell you about an African American rapper. He's also an entrepreneur. Kanye West. He says the blacks in America can choose to be free from the past or remain victims in the present. But his fellow blacks in America hated him for it. With victimhood comes a great deal of entitlement. You see yourself as a victim, and then the first thing that comes to your mind is, I'm entitled to this, I'm entitled to this. Like you deserve special treatment because you were wronged in the past. And while you wait for the reparation you think you deserve, the rest of the world is moving on. The fact is so exemplified in the opposing realities of the lives of African Americans and Africans who travel to America. Whereas the African American has the full rights and privileges of citizenship, with welfare packages and other benefits, they are easily distracted by the ever-present sense of their victimhood and the maltreatment from the white-dominated post-slavery system. Most of them end up as illiterates, drug addicts, single parents, ex-convicts, gangbangers, prostitutes, criminals. I can go on with the list. Yet, African immigrants fleeing from extreme poverty, war, and even social unrest in Africa travel to the same America where blacks complain the system is rigged against them. And these African immigrants, suffering even worse fates that the black citizens suffer, rise up above it all and become leaders in business, education, science, technology. It goes on and on. They achieve all these while having immigrant status. Some even work 10 jobs and suffer a third-class citizenship, only for black Americans to turn around and accuse the Africans of taking their opportunities from them. But they forget that while they were busy complaining about being victims of the system, expecting to be rescued, others who have less than them rose to greatness by not complaining, but building on the pain. I need to take a glass of coffee. Let me take that cup of coffee now. And when I come back, we keep educating ourselves on the podium this morning. I'm not angry, but I'm just spitting facts. It's the Podium on 32 FM 94.9, the station where joy resides. We'll go on a break, and when I come back, I'll continue with this. Stay tuned, don't go away.
This announcement from Jonathan King Limited is for those who desire the truth and are ready to take actions for a rewarding future. Canada is arguably the best place to acquire first-class, practical, and developmentally oriented education. Opportunity for student scholarships, grants, and interest-free loans to pursue their studies to PhD level in Canada is about the highest in the world, and they can work while undergoing full-time studies. Jonathan King Limited invites parents and prospective students to a life-changing meeting with a team from Canada led by the Associate Director, International Recruitment, Thompson Rivers University, Canada, who will speak and answer questions on Canada's study visa, life in Canada, and opportunities open to students. Date, Thursday, 15th of September 2022.
Venue, Floor 22, Learning and Training Center, Cocoa House, Ibadan. Time, 12 noon prompt.
Admission is free. However, it's on first-come, first-served basis, as the hall will take only about 100 people. Please visit our website, jonathankinglimited.com. Jonathan King Limited, 1st and 6th floors, Cocoa House, Ibadan.
Sáré wálé ababitas ni ẹ máa mú. Dádì àmọ́ mi ẹ̀mú sáré wálé. Brother and sister ẹ̀mú sáré wálé. Ògùn ìbílẹ̀ pọ́nbélé sáré wálé. Ògùn kárájí pépé sáré wálé. Sáré wálé ni ẹ máa lò. Sáré wálé ni ẹ máa lò. Fún àlàáfíà ara. Sáré wálé ni ẹ máa lò. Kárájí pépé. Sáré wálé ni ẹ máa lò. Ó fara lókun tó péye. Sáré wálé ni ẹ máa lò. Sáré wálé ni ẹ máa lò. Sáré wálé ni ẹ máa lò. Kí fàájì lè sàn. Ẹ̀mú sáré wálé. Sáré wálé. Sáré wálé ababitas ni ẹ máa mú.
080-2191-2040.
Ó tún ti yá o Ìbàdàn ẹ kú àlejò wa Life Plus Foundation International àtúndé.
Life Plus Foundation tún ti gbé nǹkan kàǹkà kalẹ̀ fún gbogbo ẹ̀dá tó fẹ́ dọlọ́rọ̀ nínú òwò ọ̀sìn ehoro. Special 2 days training yóò wáyé lọ́jọ́ Friday on the 9th àti Saturday on the 10th oṣù kẹsàn-án September ọdún yìí. Bóyá o ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ owó ká máa sin ehoro. Tàbó ti ń sin ehoro tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀. Ibi tó máa ta sí ti di rọrùn báyìí. Àwọn off-takers gangan tó ń bọ̀ wá ṣe training ló ń fọn rere rẹ̀ yìí o. Lẹ́yìn ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́, wọ́n bọ̀ wá ehoro ìgbàlódé láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ owó. Wọ́n sì tún máa bọ̀ rà padà lówó gẹ́gẹ́. Ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé lórí rẹ̀ yóò wáyé láago 2 ọ̀sán òní gangan ní Life Plus office tó wà ní Ìbùkún Olúwa house sádójúkọ BCOS ilé akéde oríta Abáṣọ̀run Ìbàdàn àtọ́fíìsì wa kejì ilé blue tó wà ní Olúṣàyà junction Ring Road Challenge Ìbàdàn 2,000 naira péré owó ìwọlé tẹ́ ẹ bá san ni yóò fún yín láǹfààní láti gba búrókíọ̀ àti fọ́ọ̀mù láti dọ́mọ ẹgbẹ́ fẹ́kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé ẹ pè 08035622166.
Gbogbo Ìbàdàn ẹ̀dúgbẹ́ ò fúnlẹ̀ bá.
Ìbàdàn ọmọ àjòrò sùn ọmọ àjẹgbín yó ọmọ àfikàrà ń fọ́rí mu Ìbàdàn májàmájà bíi tọjọ́ kìíní èyí tó jàǹjọ́ sí aládùúgbò gbogbo lóògùn Ìbàdàn béèrè kó o tó wọ̀ Òkè Ìbàdàn àtàgé ọlọ́mú òrù ẹ bá ń gbọ́mọ òkè làǹtìlàǹtì Òkè Ìbàdàn lètò tá a gbé kalẹ̀ síkànnì adẹ́rìn-pòṣónú 32 FM 94.9 níbẹ̀ lẹ́wọ̀n ti máa gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ mi ìgbọ́rí nípa ìlú Ìbàdàn látẹnu àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ ọmọ bíbí ìlú Ìbàdàn tàbáwọn tí wọ́n ti tara ìlú Ìbàdàn jẹ́ èèyàn tí wọ́n ti làmìlaka nídìí iṣẹ́ tí wọ́n yàn láàyò gbogbo bí ìlú Ìbàdàn ti jẹ́ sí wọn àti ìfẹ́ tí wọ́n ní sí ìlú Ìbàdàn gbogbo ọjọ́ àbámẹ́ta sátidé láago 8 sí 9 alẹ́ lẹ́wọ̀n máa gbádùn ètò Òkè Ìbàdàn pẹ̀lú Tèmiládé Àlòkò Àhàndìwúrà níkànnì 32 FM 94.9 ìkànnì fẹ̀yìn ẹ̀ Òkè Ìbàdàn pẹ̀lú Àhàndìwúrà Òkè Ìbàdàn àgbèwá o.
Ìbàdàn.
òbí mọ̀ wá ńlẹ̀ òbí mọ̀ ń fún wọn níṣẹ́ ṣe báyìí wọ́n láwọn ọ̀dọ́ tòbí ni wọ́n ń ṣe o.
kọ́ mọ́ lọ pàdé òbí ọmọ tí n bá fi sí sùkúù rẹ̀ tí ó wà pé máa bá pàdé òbí.
gómìnà àná nípínlẹ̀ Anambra.
Pọ́ọ̀lù Òbí gan kọ́.
ó ti ṣe Pọ́ọ̀lù Òbí o.
àwọn àgbà Pọ́ọ̀lù náà sì ẹ̀ ń tẹ́ rí Peter ẹ̀wà Pọ́ọ̀lù tíbi náà jáde.
ṣe é ṣe tán àti yọjú sí aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Tinubu.
gbogbo wọn pátá kódà bí Àtíkù ṣe ń pè mí tí mò ń dá lóhùn.
ṣùgbọ́n ó fi hàn pé ẹ̀ ní tẹ̀lé Àtíkù báyìí.
kí ló fi hàn pé ní tẹ̀lé.
ẹ̀sọ̀ falára ẹ̀rọ fàjẹrò pé ètò òṣèlú tọ̀sẹ̀ yìí yóò tún pè mẹ́rin yàtọ̀ àlejò wa lọ́sẹ̀ yìí ni Alhaji Nureni Àkànbí àròlé Ìbà Olúyọ̀lé ọ̀kan gbòógì nínú àwọn ìgbìmọ̀ àgbà nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú People's Democratic Party PDP ẹ pàdé ọmọ yín Peter Ọlásùpọ̀ Captain P2 lọ́jọ́ ajé ọjọ́ 12 nínú oṣù kẹsàn-án ọdún tá a wà nínú rẹ̀ láago 11 sí 12 níbi tí àlejò rẹ̀ yóò ti tọ̀pá bọ́ọ̀lù ṣàlàyé gbogbo ohun tó ń lọ nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP ètò òṣèlú ẹ̀kọ́ ojúlọ́nà.
ẹ̀yin lẹ pọn ṣe yìí báyìí títí tó fi di gómìnà yìí.
ọlọ́ọ̀lọ́pàá ṣùgbọ́n mi ni mo champion rẹ̀ wọ́n wá sọ.
ǹjẹ́ kábàámọ̀ pé ẹ pọn ṣe yìí títí ó di gómìnà.
èmi kábàámọ̀ lórí nǹkan gbogbo àwọn tá a jọ ṣàdéhùn fún ọ̀mádéhùn ṣẹ.
When the people became silent, The government became oppressive. It's time to lend your voice to politics.
On 32 FM 94.9.
Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon, and we're going to our father's land. Yeah. How good and how pleasant it would be before God and man, yeah, to see the unification of all Africans, yeah. Has it been said already? Let it be done, yeah. We are the children of the Rastaman. We are the children of the Ayaman. Africa unite, 'cause the children wanna come home, yeah. Africa unite, 'cause we're moving right out of Babylon.
Welcome back to the Podium on 32 FM 94.9, the station where joy resides. Before we went on that break, I was talking about how Africa plays the victim for pity. Being a victim is not a problem, but allowing it to define your entire world. Also, defining your worldview is self-destruction. It sets a people back and provides the excuse to be less than effective. But today, everything has gone so bad. It's actually not too good to expect anything good. Yet, the white is no longer here. We don't have the white men here. We have become our own white men over our own people. And even the worst kind. All the while blaming Britain and gaslighting anyone that thinks otherwise. The culture of blame and victimhood runs deep in the bloodline. You blame Britain, you blame amalgamation, you blame Lugard, you blame Nigeria, you blame the North, you blame Buhari, you blame everybody. Except yourself. You don't blame your own actions. Blame, blame, blame. Victim, victim, victim. Excuse, excuse, excuse. Remember, a poor workman always quarrels with his own tools. When will we stop this blame game? It needs to stop. Where am I driving at? And what am I driving at? Where and what am I driving at? The Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II, was announced dead on the 8th of September 2022. In several reports by foreign media platforms, doctors had placed the Queen, who was 96, under medical supervision at Balmoral Castle, her estate in the Scottish Highlands. But eventually, the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral on the 8th of September 2022. During her last moments, it was gathered that her son and now the King of England, King Charles III, as well as his siblings, relatives, and other senior royals, traveled to Balmoral to be at their mother's side. What do you know about the late Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II? She was born Elizabeth Alexandra Mary on the 21st of April 1926. She was Queen of the United Kingdom and 14 other sovereign states. Queen Elizabeth was born in Mayfair, London, as the first child of the Duke and Duchess of York, later King George VI, and Queen Elizabeth. Her father acceded to the throne in 1936 upon the abdication of his brother, King Edward VIII, making Elizabeth the heir presumptive. When her father died in February 1952, Queen Elizabeth was 25 years old. She became queen, or the Queen Regent, of 7 independent Commonwealth countries, which included the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Pakistan, and Ceylon. Ceylon, which today is known as Sri Lanka. At 25, she was the head of the Commonwealth. She became strong and powerful. In November 1947, she married Philip Mountbatten, a former prince of Greece and Denmark. And their marriage lasted for 73 years until his death in April 2021. They had 4 children together. Charles, who was the Prince of Wales and now the King of England. Anne, the Princess Royal, Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, and Prince Edward, Earl of Wessex. Late Queen Elizabeth was coronated in 1953. Some reports have it that she was coronated in 1952. She celebrated her silver, golden, and diamond jubilees, and even the platinum jubilee in 1977, 2002, 2012, and 2022, respectively. Queen Elizabeth was the longest lived and longest reigning British monarch, the oldest and the longest serving incumbent head of state. She was also the second longest verifiable reigning sovereign monarch in world history. The Queen reigned as a constitutional monarch through major political changes, such as the troubles in Northern Ireland, devolution in the United Kingdom, and the colonization of Africa, and the United Kingdom's accession to the European communities and the withdrawal from the European Union. I can go on and on and on. Many have said that the Queen, with her policies and her reign, throughout her reign, was a problem to the African state. So you see where I was coming from. They say she was a problem to the African state. Many people have gone on social media citing examples, blaming the Queen, blaming England, blaming Britain, blaming Europe. But for how long? Before we continue, for me, I think we need to pay obeisance to Britain, to United Kingdom.
Say
That was the British anthem. Very lovely rendition. May the soul of the Queen find a safe passage to the serene cottage. United Kingdom now has a new monarch, King Charles III, who is the King of England. Many have asked what happens to the currency. You know, the head of the Queen of England is on the pound. Many will ask, what happens to that currency? But the truth is, the Bank of England has come out to tell you that there's no problems. It still remains a legal entity. The Queen, we need to stop blaming anybody. She did her best during her time. I'll be joined very soon by Barrister Yomi Ogunlola. He'll speak briefly on this before we move to another subject matter on the podium this morning. As we also expect Professor Remi Ayede on the show this morning. Barrister Yomi Ogunlola, it's good to have you on the podium this morning.
Yes, good morning.
I see.
Good morning, Nigeria.
I see you had some exercise this morning.
Oh, yes.
Very fruitful one, right?
Oh, very, very, very
Because I see you're panting.
Oh, yes. Climbing your stairs here is a load of work.
Well, they say bodily exercise profited much, right?
It's very good.
So it's one of those exercises you do every Saturday morning.
Oh, yes.
Interesting.
Oh, yes.
The Queen of England is gone. Many blamed her for her policies. Many have blamed her for her colonization instincts and all that. But the thing is, Africa keeps blaming. We keep blaming. Even when we look into ourselves, the whites are no longer here. We're the ones controlling ourselves. We have not done anything to develop ourselves. We have not done anything to move forward. We keep blaming. When will this blame game end?
I do agree with you. I quite sympathize with the royal family and the entire British that they lost a mother in their queen. I listened and watched King Charles III delivering his first speech as a king yesterday, and I must confess that I was moved because that was a kingly
he exhumes royalty.
Oh yes, he exhumes it. I will call him the personification of royalty. You know, and I was quite impressed. And I aligned with almost everything he said. The only question I had concerned the values that he talked about.
Yeah.
You know, he emphasized the values which he said he was going to protect. And I was asking, is the continued subjugation of the colonies a part of those values? Because not too many people are happy with the Queen, particularly countries that have been colonized. Here in Africa, members of the Commonwealth have nothing good to write home about their membership of that organization. We have seen a kind of collusion between the British government and those who are looting Africa, those who are pillaging Africa. We have seen a kind of collusion between them. We have seen that rather than improving the socio-political situation of those colonies, they have rather gone down south. Don't forget that the British monarchy itself was established by, I think, Alexander the Great. So Britain itself was colonized. But they have seen to the growth and development of that country. Why were the others not so, improved upon, if I can use that? Somebody was saying some time ago, we were having a discussion, which I completely agree with, that it is impossible in many, if not all, of the Commonwealth states to have a president or a head of state without the approval of the British government. And the monarchy is a part and parcel of the British government. So I don't think many in these parts of the world will be quite happy with the Queen. And one can only hope that with the emergence of King Charles, that he will revisit the issue of the colonies. I do agree with you, though, that our leaders, our rulers, I hate to call them leaders because they are not, our rulers have been complicit, in the mess that Africa finds itself, not being able to extricate themselves from the deliberate intentions of the West to perpetually subjugate, our territories. It is so unfortunate. It is most unfortunate, and it is unacceptable. Let me allow Prof come in, on the issue.
All right, Prof, quickly, before we go on the break, let me ask two questions. Africa, or the colonies, the British colonies, still play the victim role. They still pity themselves. They want sympathy. The other question is, what is common about the wealth of these nations in the Commonwealth of Nations?
Well, I find the second question more interesting because I don't think we are seeking for pity or asking for sympathy. You don't get sympathy in international politics. I think we are feebly asserting what we think belongs to the former colonies as of right. One, we suffered slavery, and people say the Queen has not acknowledged the role of the Great British Empire in that process and the pain that Africa has suffered, and people talk about reparation. And the second one is also that the colonization process itself was an excruciating, destructive process. And then the Queen also has not acknowledged that publicly, and then no apology or no effort at reparation has been made. So these are the 2 points concerning colonialism. But of course, the British Commonwealth is just a club. Again, as international politics,
you call it a club?
It's a club.
Of course.
It's a club of former colonies under the supervision of the colonizer. In a sense, it's pathetic. In another sense, it's something that should be promoted in terms of global peace and security. It's very useful. The Chogom, the sports competition, it's a very vital part of that union. So it's some kind of diplomatic forum where some of these issues that I spoke about before can be tabled and discussed within an environment of cordiality. So that's, for me, what the Commonwealth of Nations represent. But outside that, as I said before, there are critical issues that have not been answered by the deceased monarch, which has been inherited by King Charles III.
All right, we'll look at those critical issues after this break. Stay tuned, don't go away.
Phones Accessories and Training Center. Àwọn làgbọ̀ ọ̀jẹ̀ níbi kábàánì tún ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ ẹni ṣe. Irúfẹ́ ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ wo ló ń fún yín ní wàhálà tí ò jẹ́ rí mú mi? Ìlànà akọ́ṣẹ́mọṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú ẹ̀rọ ìgbàlódé la fi ń ṣiṣẹ́ tiwa. Phones Repair and Unlock, Phone Accessories, gbogbo pẹ̀lú owó pọ́kú tí ò gani lára. Àǹfààní tó wà fún gbogbo ẹni tó bá nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lọ́dọ̀ tiwa. Bí wọ́n bá tún farabalẹ̀ kọ́ṣẹ́ tán tí wọ́n mọṣẹ́. Àwa gan la tún yaṣẹ́ fún wọn láti lè wà láàyè ara wọn. Má wulẹ̀ yọ̀ǹda fóònù rẹ fáwọn tí ò lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ títún ṣe mọ́. Kàn sí wọn ní Real Phones Accessory and Training Centers kí wọ́n bọ́ sọ fóònù rẹ dọ̀tun ní nọ́mbà 35C Naipo Shopping Complex ládojúkọ Cocoa House nìbàdàn. Gẹ́lẹ́tẹ̀ bá ti wọlé lẹ́yìn tí kàn sí wa ní ṣọ́ọ̀bù àkọ́kọ́ tó wà lápò ọ̀tún yín. Bó bá sì jẹ́ ládojúkọ police station tó wà ní Naipo Railway Station nìbàdàn ni shop number 1 la wà lórí òkè àkọ́kọ́ tó wà ní Naipo gangan. Ẹ lè pè wọ́n sórí ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 070-643-68169 tàbí 080-969-57878. Ẹ dán wa wò lónìí kẹ́ ẹ lè rí yàtọ̀ tí ò lẹ́lẹ́gbẹ́.
ìròyìn àwọn amóróyè o ibùdó kan ara ọ̀tọ̀ lẹ́yìn ní ìlú Ìbàdàn fún báàgì oríṣiríṣi. ẹ̀sìkì máa ṣàwọn ẹ̀ ló ní kí ẹ máa bọ̀ báàgì lóríṣiríṣi. ó ti wà nílẹ̀ bíbá o briefcases lóríṣiríṣi pẹ̀lú travelling bags ladies bag ńkọ́ men executive bags school bags lóríṣiríṣi ó ń bẹ lọ́dọ̀ wọn ní ẹ̀sìkì máa ṣàwọn lówó tí ó gara ni.
Eskema Sham Venture ẹ wọlé ẹ ṣílẹ̀kùn fóríṣiríṣi àwọn báàgì tẹ́ ẹ bá fẹ́ láwọn bíi travelling bags, leather box, briefcases, men executive bags títí tó fi dórí àwọn ladies bag lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan. Pápánbárì ibẹ̀ làwọn bags fáwọn ọmọléèwé tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ fẹ́ wọlé. Ẹ má jẹ́ kọ́tàn yín jẹ o. A wà ní nọ́mbà 51 Nipos Complex tó wà ní àdójúkọ Cocoa House. Ibẹ̀lẹ̀ Eskema Sham Venture wà tí gbogbo èèyàn mọ̀ sí Eske gbogbo Bank Road. Ẹ pè wá sórí àwọn ẹ̀rọ ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 08027402198 lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí 08027402198 Eskema Sham Venture ibẹ̀ gangan lójúlówó báàgì wà.
Àtótó arére gbogbo jàmá dúkà àwọn talẹ̀talẹ̀ ti lùgbòrò pa kò jẹ́ àmọ́ ìyàtọ̀ láàrin èpò àtàlẹ̀kámà Greenland Estate ní àmọ́ bọ̀ Alábàtà Abẹ́òkúta Ogun State Zenith Real Estate and Properties ló gbélé kalẹ̀ gbà 150,000 naira péré ni ó yẹ sanwó tẹ́lẹ̀ kan kẹ́ẹ̀gba instant allocation deed of agreement àti corner piece ọ̀fẹ́lẹ̀ gba gbogbo ẹ̀ kò sí wàhálà lọ́dọ̀ ìjọba tàbọ́mọ onílẹ̀. Bákan náà ni Rehoboth Park and Garden lélẹ́kuru mọ́níyà ń bàdàn náà tó ti ń ta wàràwàrà pẹ̀lú 550,000 naira per plot Ativas Estate nídò ológun ẹrú pẹ̀lú 400,000 per plot tó fi mọ́ Sun City Estate Alábàtà mọ́níyà 850 per plot Kings Park Estate lálábàtà mọ́níyà 850,000 per plot. Ẹ lè deposit iye tẹ́ bá ní láàrin 50 sí 200,000 lórí gbogbo ilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn kẹ́ máa san yòókù díẹ̀díẹ̀ láàrin ọdún kan. Ó yẹ kàn sí wa lónìí beside Aremu Block Industry opposite IITA Ọjọ́ Mọ́níyà Express Road Ìbàdàn 0902-247-1477. Ẹ ṣọ́ra fáwọn alágbèédá o Zenith Real Estate and Properties Limited kò sí gìrì.
Ó tún ti yá o Ìbàdàn ẹ kú àlejò wa Life Plus Foundation International àtúndé.
Life Plus Foundation tún ti gbé nǹkan kàǹkà kalẹ̀ fún gbogbo ẹ̀dá tó fẹ́ dọlọ́rọ̀ nínú òwò ọ̀sìn ehoro. Special 2 days training yóò wáyé lọ́jọ́ Friday on the 9 àti Saturday on the 10 oṣù kẹsàn-án September ọdún yìí. Bóyá o ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ owó ká máa sin ehoro. Tàbó ti ń sin ehoro tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀. Ibi tó máa ta sí ti di rọrùn báyìí. Àwọn off-takers gangan tó ń bọ̀ wá ṣe training ló ń fa rere rẹ̀ yìí o. Lẹ́yìn ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́, wọ́n bọ̀ wá ehoro ìgbàlódé láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ owó. Wọ́n sì tún máa bọ̀ rà padà lówó gẹ́gẹ́. Ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé lórí rẹ̀ yóò wáyé láago 2 ọ̀sán òní gangan ní Life Plus Office tó wà ní Ìbùkún Olúwa House sádojúkọ BCOS ilé akéde oríta Abáṣọ̀run Ìbàdàn àtọ́fíìsì wa kejì ilé Blue tó wà ní Olúṣàyà Junction Ring Road Challenge Ìbàdàn 2,000 naira péré owó ìwọlé tẹ́ ẹ bá san ni yóò fún yín láǹfààní láti gba búrókíọ̀ àti fọ́ọ̀mù láti dọ́mọ ẹgbẹ́ fẹ́kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé ẹ pè 08035622166.
òbí mọ̀ wá ńlẹ̀ òbí mọ̀ ń fún wọn níṣẹ́ ṣe báyìí wọ́n láwọn ọ̀dọ́ tòbí ni wọ́n ń ṣe o.
kọ́ mọ́ lọ pàdé òbí ọmọ tí n bá fi sí sùkúù rẹ̀ tí wọ́n á pé máa wá pàdé òbí.
gómìnà àná nípínlẹ̀ Anambra.
Pọ́ọ̀lù Òbí gan kọ́.
kò tí ì sí Pọ́ọ̀lù Òbí o.
àwa wà Pọ́ọ̀lù náà sí ẹ̀ńtẹ́ rí Peter wà Pọ́ọ̀lù tíbi náà jáde.
ṣe é ṣe tán àti yọjú sí aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Tinubu.
gbogbo wọn pátá kódà bẹ Àtíkù ṣe ń pè mí tí mò ń dá lóhùn.
ṣùgbọ́n ó fi hàn pé ẹ̀ ní tẹ̀lé Àtíkù báyìí.
kí ló fi hàn pé ní tẹ̀lé.
ẹ sọ fálára ẹ rò fàjẹrò pé ètò òṣèlú tọ̀sẹ̀ yìí yóò tún pé mẹ́rin yàtọ̀. Àlejò wa lọ́sẹ̀ yìí ni Alhaji Nureni Àkànbí àròlé Ìbà Olúyọ̀lé, ọ̀kan gbòógì nínú àwọn ìgbìmọ̀ àgbà nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú People's Democratic Party PDP. Ẹ pàdé ọmọ yín Peter Ọlásùpọ̀ Captain P2 lọ́jọ́ ajé ọjọ́ 12 nínú oṣù kẹsàn-án ọdún tá a wà nínú rẹ̀ láago 11 sí 12 níbi tí àlejò rẹ̀ yóò ti tọ̀pá bọ́ọ̀lù ṣàlàyé gbogbo ohun tó ń lọ nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP. Ètò òṣèlú ẹ̀kọ́ ojúlọ́nà.
Ẹ̀yin lẹ pọn ṣèyí báyìí títí tó fi di gómìnà yìí.
ọlọ́ọ̀lọ́pàá ṣùgbọ́n èmi ni mo champion rẹ̀ wọ́n wá sọ.
Ǹjẹ́ ẹ kábàámọ̀ pé ẹ pọn ṣèyí títí ó di gómìnà?
èmi kábàámọ̀ lórí nǹkan gbogbo àwọn tá a jọ ṣàdéhùn fún ọ̀mádìí òṣè.
Come on. It's dancing time. Let's party all night. Let's go. When I'm doing the dancing, you know, could you sit down watching? Ha! Make you ready, come dance to the beat. 'Cause we wanna start a welcome sing. The rhythm is captivating. Oh, like me hear your heartbeat throbbing. Young and old, them are doing acrobatic tumbles. Them are happy watching me dance and just go. Hey, it's the rhythm of the night. You and I come from the jive. You are not gonna be left out. This not special festival time. Come down from the fire. Make we run back to our desire. Hey, Lady Conga, I make we dance a rumba, rumba, yeah, yeah. Lady Conga, I make we dance a rumba, yeah, yeah. When I'm singing my song.
All right, welcome back. Mike Okri there, Rumba Style, taking you back to the roots. Prof, I noticed you were miming.
Yeah, I was just asking where is my cookery now? You said it's in the United States.
Yeah, some of those songs are as spice to the show.
Actually.
So we're looking at these factors. You know, before we went on that break, we're talking about the Queen and some of those things that the King now, King Charles, has inherited. We'll have to do this in like 3 minutes because we'll be moving to another segment of the show.
Yeah, fortunately, he has his responsibility cut out for him. We are in the throes of major economic crisis across the world. Britain itself is neck deep into it. Inflation has gone up. And then, of course, I listened to the Secretary of State for Foreign International Trade, and she was saying something about their promotion of free market and trade, and they think that that's the way they are going to secure economic growth for Britain. I think he will put his weight behind the government, and we hope that there will be some measure of success in that plan and stability in Britain. But for us here, we are not inspired. We have major responsibilities, which is the responsibility of our own leadership. We are not sure that they are tuned to the politics going on globally and what needs to be done in order to strengthen our economy. You can see the rate of inflation is very high in Nigeria right now. The currency has been massively devalued, and then the purchasing power of ordinary Nigerians has been eroded. And that's why I don't want to say it, but I have to say it. We are on strike, and there will be many more strikes in future as we march towards 2023, because the end to our economic woes is just seems to be starting, because they are still talking about removing subsidy, increasing the price of fuel, and
Pengasin is talking, NME is talking, resident doctors are talking.
So we have those challenges.
Should I call him Professor, Prophet Professor? Because he's saying he sees many strikes looming. But for you, Barrister, quickly,
Yes.
do you see King Charles upturning the Brexit issue now that he's king?
Well, you should know that the role of the king of the United Kingdom is that of a ceremonial head, and yes, he could advise, but by virtue of his position, it does not lie on him to take such a decision. That is the prerogative of the government of the United Kingdom.
But he can influence the government.
Yes, that's why I said he can. The Prince of Wales is a lot different from the monarch, from the king of the United Kingdom. While he was the Prince of Wales, of course, he was very vocal. He was vocal on employment issues. He was vocal on environmental issues, particularly climate change and all that. It got to a point, they said he was even talking to trees and leaves and all of that, But his new role will definitely have to do away with that. His role is very carefully spelled out in the unwritten constitution of the United Kingdom. What I want, what I think a lot of people would want to see from a King Charles III is a revisit of the issues that are, still for which a great number of nations are aggrieved, such that if he can find a way to address them, particularly with what Prof said concerning the Commonwealth nations, we want a change, in their disposition towards us. We do not want a situation where they will be in collusion with the spoilers of Nigeria, with the spoilers of the rest of the Commonwealth nations, and all that. So uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, no doubt about that. Charles has quite a lot on his neck, but we can only wish him the best.
Well, talking about wishing him the best, Prof, like you said, the implication of the new monarch in Nigeria may not matter. It's about what we, the leadership in the country is what really matters. Ahead of the 2023 elections, we have insecurity issues, we have many issues to solve. But Britain still remains a very important country when it comes to decision making in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Because when anyone wants to become president, the person goes to Chatham House.
Yeah, they've been seeing the ambassadors. They've been seeing they've been visiting the candidates here in Nigeria, from Peter Obi to Ashiwaju and the other Atiku. They've had audiences with the British ambassador here. And you also know that the British work very closely with the United States, and they're always on the same page when it comes to issues. And most importantly, the United States will give the privilege to the United Kingdom if they are seeking to pursue their interests within the former colony. So, yes, Britain is very vital. In Nigeria, there's always this belief that the British, they are biased in favor of the North. And in terms of what goes on within the politics of Nigeria, it's their interest first rather than our own interest. So I think the honor still lies on the capacity of our elite, especially the political elite, to be able to forge a common understanding of our national interests and subordinate their individual ambitions and preferences to that collective understanding of what constitutes our national interests. But as it is not clear whether they are there yet. I was listening to Fayemi during the Kuka 70th birthday, and he was saying it in the midst of everyone that there's no consensus yet about what they want to make about Nigeria. So which means that the only consensus they have is to continue to pillage the country for their private pockets. And if that's still the case, then they will be very vulnerable to the machinations of these former colonial leaders who are still perpetuating what some people have described as neo-colonialism or imperialism, as Lenin will put it here.
All right, while we wait to be joined by Right Honorable Mukaila Aziz Akondia Larakbe, the former Speaker of the Oyo State House of Assembly, we'll also go on to look at this. He'll be joining us very soon. Okay, let's look at this. It happened during the week. The national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, during the week, got a confidence vote after weeks of speculations about whether or not he should retain his seat. But the decision did not go down well with Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, who insisted that Ayu must step down. So it is now Ayu must go. The party's presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and Governor Wike have been at loggerheads over the agitation for Ayu's removal as the party's chairman. The Rivers State governor and those sympathetic to his cause are aggrieved following perceived marginalization in the scheme of things within the party. While the NEC meeting was going on, Governor Nyesom Wike was responding at the same time. Let's listen to one of his responses where he says, Ayu must go. He talked about an agreement between himself and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Who breached that agreement? Who betrayed? Was there an agreement? Let's listen to Governor Nyesom Wike.
Today, I told Nigerians before, at the appropriate time I was going to speak. But now that things are coming out, let me be revealing small to you people. So that you people will know the kind of country we are in. So that you know the kind of country we are in. And you know how to see yourself. Are you part of this country? You will now begin to know and ask yourself question. Am I part of this country? Ayu said if the presidential candidate comes from the north, that he will resign by the convention of our party, that the candidate of our party, the chairman of our party, will come from the south. When the North Central met in the house of Governor Bala Muhammad, the governor of Bauchi State, he said so there. When he made a caucus of the Senate, he told them that when we finish our convention on a Saturday to Sunday, the candidate of the party came to see me in my house in Abuja on Monday, around 10:30 a.m. And that's what I don't like in this country. The candidate told me, I said, listen, I want us to work together. And then he said, look, Ayu must go. I said, why? He said, because when a candidate comes from the north, the chairman will come from the south. And I'm saying, implement what you told me. What offense have I committed? What offense have I committed? And people are just, wicked. It has nothing to do with wicked. It has to do with integrity. This is what you told me. I challenge the presidential candidate to deny this. If he denies this, I go further to say so many things to Nigerians. Because enough is enough. We can't continue this way. They have today told the BOT chairman to resign. Who is talking about chairman of BOT? What is the role of the BOT? BOT is an advisory body. We have never zoned BOT. BOT is an advisory body. BOT is not a decision-making body. Those who run, as it is today, is the presidential candidate or president and chairman of the party. The chairman of the party and the candidate or president, as the case may be, are those who will sit down and take decision. The candidate is from the north. The chairman is from the north. Who will represent the south in decision making? You have taken the president. We have agreed, yes. You can't take the two major positions of a party. You cannot do that. And some sycophants do not understand. When they're interested, is going to run out after them, put me in the campaign council. We should forget about greed. What has killed Nigeria are leaders who cannot keep to their integrity, who cannot honor what they have told people. That is what about the problem. Look at the insult. You have told the BOT chairman to resign. So you know, you are not agreeing with us that this thing cannot be in one place. But what we are saying, the position we are talking about, which all of us agree, is the chairman of the party. It's not about BOT. One ex-general went to see the BOT chairman, and the candidate went to see him, say, look, resign. We'll give advisory. What is advisory? When the BOT position already is advisory. What advisory position are you going to give him? That is to insult us. The chairman and the president candidate or the president will meet. They take a decision. Nobody represents us. Just wait. Pray. Let them win. Then you will see. You just watch. Why are they being arrogant? Why are they being so arrogant? I can tell you, they're arrogant because they believe somebody in the presidency is backing them. But what they don't understand, the same person in the presidency backed somebody as APC presidential aspirant and the person failed. I will tell Nigerians the appropriate time. Who is that person in the presidency that's backing them, that being arrogant? You can't be arrogant to us. You can't. You can't be arrogant to what I have. You can be arrogant to what you have. But this one we have, you cannot. I will continue to fight this fight. This injustice is enough. We cannot continue to swallow this. When the election is won, the chairman and the candidate who has emerged are those who will sit down and talk about who takes what goes where. They've already taken who will be Senate president. Which one have they given you? They want to take our vote. We like the chairman of party. What we can saying, keep to the agreement. Agreement is a agreement. Agreement is a agreement.
Yes, some wicked there, spitting fire. Some will say he talks too much and he's becoming squalid in the media space. Do you agree with that, Barrister?
Well, you know that for quite some time, that had been the impression of majority of the people. They see Wiki's outbursts as a reflection of his hubristic intransigence. But from what we have heard from Wiki, an agreement is sacrosanct. An agreement is supposed to be respected. So if there's going to be any amendment to an agreement, it should be a collective thing between all the stakeholders. So I see that there appears to be, given from what Wiki has told us, a fundamental flaw, in the choice of the chairman of the party after the emergence of Atiku Abubakar as their presidential candidate. But as far as I am concerned, I think they are just wasting precious time because the elections are so close, and if they are not going to put their house in order, of course, there is a dog waiting to take the bone. It's their internal wahala. They should find a way to resolve it.
Prof, he made some serious statements.
It's more than an internal arrangement, palaver. I think that they are swimming in their own mischief. It is the failure of even Wike and Atiku and the rest of them to keep to an earlier agreement and the provisions of their own constitution that is the genesis of all of this crisis. If you look at the post-June 12 political settlement of rotation, neither Wike nor Atiku is supposed to emerge as the candidate of the PDP. If you look at the principle at play, and Atiku himself made reference to it, that if the presidency of the PDP is zoned to the southeast, he was not going to contest. Now, because Wike wants to be president, he worked against that gentleman agreement. So he's the first person that drew first blood. And he thought that that's the end of it. Because the original plan is that the presidency will come from the south and most likely the southeast. And that's why they elected the chairman from the north. And they didn't also care that the BOT chairman should also be from the north. So once you start breaking that initial agreement, of course, they were now saying, if you are strong, come and take the office. And he thought that he was strong enough to muzzle out the people from the southeast and then to take it. But once Atiku came into the game, he saw that he was stripped naked and then started negotiating. Of course, the same way they promised when they were doing the initial arrangement that it's going to come from the south and then probably the southeast, and then they took those positions to this north central and the northwest. That's the same basis on which this situation is arising. That let the fittest survive. No, he don't find in a situation where he couldn't ride roughshod over the process, and there is non crime foul. So let them fight it out, and he must fight it. Otherwise, he will have no option than to leave the PDP. And then, he has invested his time, his resources, his energy in sustaining the PDP during those 7.5 years of being in opposition. So you see, you can't eat your cake and have it. The same principle that which was not fair, that because the resources are at your advantage, you decide to do. It's the same thing that happened to. It's a Milocon of PDP. But it turned out that he couldn't withstand the
so it's about the Emiloko concept.
Yes. Now he finds himself in the wilderness, and there is screaming. So he has to fight. And if he does not fight, then his political future is already marked. And that's why some people said once this season passes him and he's no longer governor, he'll be confined to the backyard of the politics of the PDP.
If they can't keep to an agreement like this, will they be able to keep to the agreement they make to Nigerians before the poll?
But that's what's happening with ASU. These guys don't believe in agreement. That's why Fayemi said there's no consensus on the basis on which they operate and they interact or collaborate. And it's a major minus. Because it then means that they don't have a vision, a collective vision of Nigeria that they are working towards. And all they are after is just real politics. So if you can get it, you get it. If you can jagba, you jagba. Yes. It's even INEC that is giving them some measure of decorum with this technology and all the kind of reforms that has been put in place in the election. Otherwise, if you even look at the way they behaved during the bill for the direct electronic transmission of results, they didn't want it. They still want that space where anybody who can, wangle his way through will get the upper hand. I mean, how do you promote that uninstitutionalized process of politics? So we don't have a political elite that want politics properly organized so that it will be a decent game. They actually want a situation where if you are strong, you can manipulate the rules to your advantage. And that's a recipe for instability. And that's why you see the political parties are very unstable. Now, how do you expect an unstable political organization to run a stable government when, in fact, they thrive in an environment of no rule? So it's a tragic situation. So he has to fight so that both him and Atiku and all the rest of them will see because it's becoming really glaring to them now that there's a price for disregard for rules, disregard for agreements and all of those processes. Because it makes they are walking into the campaign period without a stable political machine. So that's the way they've been running our country. They've been running Nigeria. We have been playing game in the international system without a stable framework of governance. Because people still think that the rule don't matter. It's who you know how many people you can bribe, to what extent can you manipulate the system. As long as you can have your way, then it's fine with you. So it's unfortunate. And that's why when people are even caught to have broken the law, if you are strong and you have the appropriate connections, nothing happens. How do you expect to run an effective and stable organization that way? So let him fight and let all of them see that the way they are running the organization, the way they are running the country, is not in anybody's interest.
All right, before we go on a break, let me quickly welcome Barrister, Right Honorable Barrister Bukaila Aziz Akondia Larakwe to the podium. Good morning, Honorable. It's good to have you on the podium, and it's been a while. Okay. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you clearly.
Okay.
Are you hearing?
Yes, loud and clear. We can hear you now. Yeah, good to have you.
I said thanks for having me.
Okay.
And it has been a while, like you said. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I also appreciate my professor. If I make a guess, I think that is a Professor Ayede. Probably is talking about.
How is your family?
And I'm so sorry that I'm joining you a bit late. It's around 5 o'clock over here, and I was praying at that time. So I'm so sorry.
All right, no problems. We'll go on this break, and when we come back, we'll engage you on some issues, national issues, and even on your state issues. We want to hear from you. How is your friend, Engineer Sheyi Makinde?
Thank you.
This announcement from Jonathan King Limited is for those who desire the truth and are ready to take actions for a rewarding future. Canada is arguably the best place to acquire first-class, practical, and developmentally oriented education. Opportunity for student scholarships, grants, and interest-free loans to pursue their studies to PhD level in Canada is about the highest in the world, and they can work while undergoing full-time studies. Jonathan King Limited invites parents and prospective students to a life-changing meeting with a team from Canada led by the Associate Director, International Recruitment, Thompson Rivers University, Canada, who will speak and answer questions on Canada study visa, life in Canada, and opportunities open to students. Date, Thursday, 15th of September 2022.
Venue, Floor 22, Learning and Training Center, Cocoa House, Ibadan. Time, 12 noon prompt.
Admission is free. However, it's on first-come, first-served basis, as the hall will take only about 100 people. Please visit our website, jonathankinglimited.com. Jonathan King Limited, first and 6th floors, Cocoa House, Ibadan.
Ìbàdàn ẹ kú àlejò wa Life Plus Foundation International àtúndé.
Life Plus Foundation tún ti gbé nǹkan kàǹkà kalẹ̀ fún gbogbo ẹ̀dá tó fẹ́ dọlọ́rọ̀ nínú òwò ọ̀sìn ehoro. Special 2 days training yóò wáyé lọ́jọ́ Friday on the 9th àti Saturday on the 10th oṣù kẹsàn-án September ọdún yìí. Bóyá o ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ owó ká máa sin ehoro. Tàbó ti ń sin ehoro tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀. Ibi tó máa ta sí ti di rọrùn báyìí. Àwọn off-takers gangan tó ń bọ̀ wá ṣe training ló ń fọn rere rẹ̀ yìí o. Lẹ́yìn ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́, wọ́n bọ̀ wá ehoro ìgbàlódé láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ owó. Wọ́n sì tún máa bọ̀ rà padà lówó gẹ́gẹ́. Ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé lórí rẹ̀ yóò wáyé. Láago 2 ọ̀sán òní gangan. Ní Life Plus Office. Tó wà ní Ìbùkún Olúwa House. Sádojúkọ BCOS ilé akéde oríta Abáṣọ̀run Ìbàdàn. Àtọ́fíìsì wa kejì. Ilé Blue. Tó wà ní Olúṣàyà Junction. Ring Road Challenge Ìbàdàn. 2,000 naira péré owó ìwọlé tẹ́ ẹ bá san. Ní yóò fún yín láǹfààní láti gba búrókíọ̀. Àti fọ́ọ̀mù láti dọ́mọ ẹgbẹ́. Fẹ́kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé. Ẹ pè 08035622166.
kánbó ilé yìí ẹ kú àlejò imú gbòǹgbò ọ̀nà ẹ kú àlejò ẹsẹ̀ tọmọdé tàgbà ìlú ẹ kú àmójúbà ètò tuntun gbélégbọ́ lórúkọ ètò náà ọ̀kan ṣoṣo erin ló ń ṣe gbó gbélégbọ́ ọ̀kan ṣoṣo ẹfọ̀n ló ń ṣọ̀dàn gbélégbọ́ ọ̀kan ṣoṣo làjànàkú tó fi ń mi gbó kìjikìji o gbélégbọ́ ètò gbélégbọ́ balẹ̀ sílé iṣẹ́ yìí ìkànnì alára àgbàyídá 32 FM 94.9 nìbàdàn ọjọ́ ìṣẹ́gun Tuesday lẹ́tọ̀ náà yóò máa wáyé láago 9 àbọ̀ títí di 11 láàárọ̀ 9:30 to 11 a.m. bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti láti ọjọ́ 4 oṣù kẹwàá ọdún tá a wà yìí October 4 táwa ni atọ́kùn ètò náà àgbà ló tọrọ ó lọ ọba ló tẹ̀yìn irin fan Kọ́ládé Àlàbí ọmọ ọba lóde Òṣogbo ni o gbélégbọ́ ẹ̀kú ojú lọ́nà.
ẹni tó bá dé bá ló lè ròyìn lóríṣiríṣi ìrírí ayé.
ta lélẹ́yìí kí ló mọ̀ ṣàwọn ẹ̀yà gbálẹ̀ yìí gangan náà what nonsense is this now.
ó ìgbé gbogbo ẹnu ẹ sọ̀hún ni will you keep quiet. yes kẹ́ gbẹ́nu sọ̀hún náà kí ló dé tó ń kanra mú àwọn ẹni ẹlẹ́ni ìyá oníyàá tí ìjọba ń fún ní tọ́rọ́ kọ́bọ̀ kó máa gbá títì àwọn ẹni ẹlẹ́ni tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ẹ̀gbin fún ìgbáyégbádùn èmi àti ẹ̀ àwọn tó yẹ ká máa kẹ́ ká máa gẹ̀ àbí ìwọ mọ̀ pé ọkùnrin tí ń sun rárá fọkùnrin ẹgbẹ́ rẹ̀ akọ iṣẹ́ ló ń ṣe ni ìgbà míì ẹ wa mọ́tò bíi kẹ́ kán wọn lẹ́sẹ̀ ọlọ́kadà mi ò fẹ́ lè fọ̀kadà gùn wọ́n lórí oníkẹ̀kẹ́ ó pakuru mọ́ wọn bíi pé kò tiẹ̀ rí wọn tákùlá ẹ bẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run o ẹ dẹ́kun àrífín fún àwọn tó ń gbá títì tó o bá ti kẹ́fìn wọn lọ́ọ̀ọ́kán rọra kọjá lára wọn bí ẹni orí ẹ̀ pé kódà kò sí ohun tó burú ńbẹ̀ tó o bá lè ṣọwọ́ kúdúrú sí wọn. ǹjẹ́ ìwọ mọ agbátítì kan lágbègbè rẹ tó lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ ká ṣe kóríwú fún fi orúkọ agbègbè àti àwòrán irúfẹ́ agbátítì náà ṣọwọ́ sí wa ní 0906 2000 949 0906 2000 949 32 FM lónìí ẹ jẹ́ ká dáàbò bo àwọn agbátítì.
òbí mọ̀ wá ńlẹ̀ òbí mọ̀ ń fún wọn níṣẹ́ ṣe báyìí wọ́n láwọn ọ̀dọ́ tòbí ni wọ́n ń ṣe o.
kọ́ mọ́ lọ pàdé ọmọ tí n bá fi sí sùkúù rẹ̀ tí wọ́n á pé máa wá pàdé òbí.
gómìnà àná nípínlẹ̀ Anambra.
Pọ́ọ̀lù Òbí ni ó ń kọ́.
kò tí ì sí Pọ́ọ̀lù Òbí o.
àwọn àgbà Pọ́ọ̀lù náà sì ẹ̀ńtẹ́ rí Peter ẹ̀wà Pọ́ọ̀lù tíbi náà jáde.
ṣe é ṣe tán àti yọjú sí aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Tinubu.
gbogbo wọn pátá kódà bí Àtíkù ṣe ń pè mí tí mò ń dá lóhùn.
ṣùgbọ́n ó fi hàn pé ẹ̀ ní tẹ̀lé Àtíkù báyìí.
kí ló fi hàn pé ní tẹ̀lé.
ẹ̀sọ̀ fálára ẹ̀rọ fàjẹrò pé ètò òṣèlú tọ̀sẹ̀ yìí yóò tún pè mẹ́rin yàtọ̀ àlejò wa lọ́sẹ̀ yìí ni Alhaji Nureni Àkànbí àròlé Ìbà Olúyọ̀lé ọ̀kan gbòógì nínú àwọn ìgbìmọ̀ àgbà nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú People's Democratic Party PDP ẹ pàdé ọmọ yín Peter Ọlásùpọ̀ Captain P2 lọ́jọ́ ajé ọjọ́ 12 nínú oṣù kẹsàn-án ọdún tá a wà nínú rẹ̀ láago 11 sí 12 níbi tí àlejò rẹ̀ yóò ti tọ̀pá bọ́ọ̀lù ṣàlàyé gbogbo ohun tó ń lọ nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP ètò òṣèlú ẹ̀kọ́ ojúlọ́nà.
ẹ̀yin lẹ pọn ṣèyí báyìí títí tó fi di gómìnà yìí.
ọlọ́ọ̀lọ́pàá ṣùgbọ́n mi ni mo champion rẹ̀ wọ́n wá sọ.
ǹjẹ́ ẹ kábàámọ̀ pé ẹ pọn ṣèyí títí ó di gómìnà.
èmi kábàámọ̀ lórí nǹkan gbogbo àwọn tá a jọ ṣàdéhùn fún ọ̀mádéhùn ṣẹ.
All right, welcome back to the podium. It's time to engage our guest this morning, Right Honorable Aziz Larakpe, a former Speaker of the Oyo State House of Assembly. Honorable, once again, welcome on board the podium this morning.
It's my pleasure.
All right, how has it been? How has it been in the States? Do you miss Nigeria once in a while?
So far, so good. We appreciate God, and we are fine. We are fine. We bless God.
Okay, you've been following events in Nigeria, and especially in Oyo State. But let's start from the national level. I followed one of your videos on Facebook where you came. You had a post where you were talking about the state of the Nigerian economy, and you were so sad, comparing to yesteryears and all that, and you were so disappointed in this government, this administration. And so, has anything changed since you made that video?
Chike, thank you so much. I really appreciate that fundamental existence of our living. Because without good living, without better life, what is the essence of life? We are here for a while. And the bottom line is to have basic things of life, have a good housing, shelter, have at least affordable healthcare delivery system. It is not free. Qualitative and quantity education. not to talk of the unemployment and what have you. At least by United Nations standard, at least we should have, at least an average Nigerian should have $2 per day. It used to be $1, but nowadays it's not $2. And $2 in Nigeria's today is 1,400 naira at exchange rate of 700 naira. Now minding the what would I call the government double standard stuff, where you have a multiple exchange, one for the rich ones, one for the poor ones. So far, so bad. Things are so bad in Nigeria, and probably I don't know. Probably I'm a grown up before I travel, and I wasn't even planned to spend up to almost 3 years in America. So, but it's beyond what I can just explain in this kind of an interview. Because if you look at Nigerian budget of 2022, despite the fact that Nigeria is a oil-producing country, the budget of 17.26 trillion naira. According to the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, Nigeria intends to borrow 11 trillion to finance the budget. Is that not ridiculous? Is that not outrageous? Then why are we talking about unemployment, poverty? Definitely there will be poverty. There will be hunger. And there will be hunger in the town or in the country. So far so good. I think so far so bad, like I said earlier. The leadership in Nigeria are not faithful to the covenant to the people of Nigeria. Because before you can decide to lead your people, you must have a covenant. You must have some of your dues, something that you're prepared to do for your people in terms of alleviating poverty. If China, the largest country as of now, probably in the next couple of years, India will take over from China. But as of today, China has a population of 1,402 million people. That is, if you look at it in the context of Nigeria, is how much Nigeria population is around 216. So we are talking about is it 10 or 20% of the China population? In the last 40 years, China has successfully taken over 800 million people from poverty. They have reduced the level of poverty in China. So in 2004, I was in China. If you compare China, the level of development in China to America, I went to, like I told you earlier, I was in the Boston this evening, yesterday with my family. I went there. I was just making a comparison with China. China is so beautiful. As of 2004, I was in the particular town they call it Zame. It's very beautiful. They have a lot of developmental projects. Even despite the fact they are not operating democracy, because that's another problem that bothers me. Is democracy the right thing for Nigeria? Because in the actual fact, since 1999, it has been from good to worse. It's getting worse. If we are borrowing 11 trillion to finance our budget, I don't think we are still on the country. And I don't know, probably the likes of Professor Ayede will assist us. We have to look at our historical, historical background. There wasn't any ideological or political revolution against the British. If you look at America, for instance, when I was in Boston this evening, or yesterday evening, I was trying to look at some monuments. They said Boston, because Boston, they call it New England, Boston, Rhode Island, New York, they are within the same region. They said that particular market, that particular center point, that is where the people of yesteryear used to gather around 300 years ago to have a public meeting. And they fought the British. We didn't fight the British. The Awolowo. We can at least those that fought for our independence, we can name them. It was more or less elitist struggle. I don't know, but probably Professor Ayede can enlighten us. It was a elitist struggle. If it's a collective effort. But if you look at America, for instance, who wrote the American Constitution? He was 26 years old guy. 26 years old wrote the Constitution, and Benjamin Franklin, it's 1 year, edited the Constitution. My son of 10 years old, within the next 1 hour, can read everything about the American Constitution. That's not hard and fast to read. Look at Nigerian Constitution. I did Constitution law a couple of years ago. How did I pass through the pages? So what I'm saying, to not to waste of to make my point clear, inflation rate, because despite the fact I'm in America, despite the fact I'm in thousands kilometers away from people, I'm always equally, I have people at home. At least I talk to my people, I talk to my friend, my associate, my family. Things are getting worse in Nigeria. The inflation trend in Nigeria is more than 17%. The poverty level is more than 40%. The unemployment is more than 33%. So what are we talking about? It's getting worse. And the political class, I used to tell people in formal conversation that Nigeria is a poor country. We may have the potentiality of getting rich. Like I told you yesterday, I was having a conversation with the Brown University, some people in Brown University some days ago, and I made them realize, look at Harvard. Harvard had the highest endowment fund in the whole world, Harvard University. I'm very close to Harvard, where I am right now. The Harvard endowment fund is around $54 billion. $1 billion is 1,700 billion naira. So that means that Harvard University alone, his own budget, his own endowment fund, is even bigger than Nigerian budget. So Nigeria don't have money, but unfortunately, our leadership are living larger than life. They are living the glory of the past. Instead of them to reduce cost of governance, to at least let them, how can they, even if you are a governor, you are going with the 7 or 10 cars. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. President Muhammadu Buhari, before he came into office, at least they vilified the then president Jonathan Goodluck about having the 3 or how many presidential aircraft. They are still keeping it today. And you will recall when Atiku Abubakar, the PDP presidential candidate, when he had issue with the then president Obasanjo, he flew to London by British Airlines. What happened to him? Nothing. So leadership is the greatest problem we have. Nigerian leaders are not ready to put smile on the people of Nigeria. And unfortunately, the Nigerian people too, they were also the guilty of the same complacence. Now, our people are so complacent. If you don't have money, nobody cares about you. Nobody appreciates. When you called me yesterday, I was so very appreciative. Ordinarily, I would have said I don't have time, but for you to have time and do for me, it showed that how dear you are. Am I to you? People don't appreciate good governance. People don't appreciate good people in governance. The other time I was reading the WhatsApp group, they are complaining about the councillor taking 125,000. I said, what the heck? What are you talking about? Does it mean that as a councillor you must take 500,000 naira? Is that a matter of money? If you serve your people, you must be the house? I don't know. So that is the major problem is Nigerian people. We are not ready to change. Probably if you are pushed to the wall, like a former minister, was it not the David Mark when he was a minister of communication, that Nigeria are not hitting from dustbin. Probably by the time we started hitting from dustbin or refuse sites, then we know that it is not so pleasant in Nigeria. Look at Saudi Arabia, an equally oil producing state. Today in the world, when Nigeria is giving 4 billion naira to monitor, to what do they do? For supervision for surveillance of our pipeline. There is the Saudi Arabia, I've forgotten the name, the Saudi Arabia oil firm. It has a device within the office. They can monitor every oil drop in Saudi Arabia. And by the Economist Intelligence today, I think they already reports not quite long, dated 22 August. Saudi Arabia is the fastest growing economy. They are building a new city, a 170 kilometers, a new city entirely, when there will not be any pollution, no car, no anything. Everything will be driven by alternative energy. So you understand? Probably by sun or the wind. We talk about the car because of everything. It will be carbon monoxide free community. They are invested $500 billion. How many? In fact, that is almost maybe how many years Nigerian budget. And we are the same oil producing country. But what are we talking about? Which refinery is working in Nigeria? Probably by the time Dangote come on board. And if you look at all ancillary that the byproduct of crude oil, they are more than 20. Talk about the bumper of a car, talk about a closet, a lot of things you can get, and it's just too disgusting. Just too disgusting. Unfortunately, we are so partitioned, we are so divided that only I don't know. It's difficult for us to have any headway because we talk about religion. That's one of the problems we have in our country. We talk about ethnicity. Today, in the Boston, Massachusetts state, the school hours over here is on Friday. It's 12:30. They close on 12:30 today. Is it Muslim state? If you want to introduce that one, probably because of children have done so, let them relax for the weekend. People will say no. If I say Peter Obi is a book material, this people will say it's an Igbo agenda. But Tinubu is this is a Yoruba agenda. So we don't really have a national question. And unfortunately, instead of the commoners to be solidarized by poverty level because I used to tell people when I was in the house, irrespective of religious differences or the constituency we come from, if you get to the house, nobody talking about our differences. Everybody is talking about money. So the same thing National Assembly. The Igbo National Assembly, the Yoruba National Assembly, the Shekiri National Assembly, the Kanuri National Assembly, the Hausa, the Fulani, the Jukun, the Takun, the Bayes, the Ogoni, the Adoni, they all share money irrespective of their differences, whether they are Muslim or Christian or they are religious. So that is the major problem we have in our country. And I think it will take a longer time for us to have any and unless we have maybe a God-given leaders. But it will be very difficult because if you look at the society itself, the society is not so appreciative of good leadership.
Okay, Honorable, for the sake of time, we want to look at other issues. Let me ask you, when you were in Nigeria, when you were in politics, I don't know if you've retired from politics. I must ask that.
I'm on sabbatical.
You're on sabbatical. Okay, the last time I checked, you were a member of the People's Democratic Party. That's the PDP.
Yeah.
Are you still looking at being a member of that party, or, like you said, your sabbatical is indefinite?
You see, for long, it has been a while. I think after my removal in 2005.
Is it removal or impeachment? Which one do we use now?
They are the same thing. Legally speaking, removal, impeachment, they were synonymous.
Okay.
So after my legal impeachment in 2005, and then I'm really thinking of putting on a write-up about the whole saga. And the subsequent problem faced by Governor Ladoja, where he doesn't have where the party was hijacked from him or from his government, or I don't know. So, and then many of us, we are not registered within the party. So for long, I've decided not to be a member of any political party. I have sympathy for different political parties. I have sympathy for APC. Like I told you, I have met Peter Obi. I have sympathy about to pinpoint a particular political party. I'm a bit apolitical. Although myself and Professor Aide, we used to consult, do some think tank for the present governor of Oyo State. But essentially, the problem I have is that none of the political parties in Nigeria is ideological based. You can't pinpoint to any ideology of PDP or APC or even Labour Party.
Okay, let me take you up from this point, Honorable. Let me take you up from this point. Let's start with this. For the sake of, for record's sake, You were impeached in 2005. Many people today still don't know the reason why you were impeached. Was it because of 100 million naira that was meant to be shared on the floor of the House that you refused to share as being part of the G14?
I think I've said it a number of times. There was no 100 million anywhere.
Okay.
There was no 100 million anywhere. But you see, I think I have a different attitude to governance. And the service to humanity is the cardinal something that made me to join politics. So I found myself into politics, and I thank God, no regret. And even up to today, I think some people, they might be saying that probably this man is too principled, is this, is that, but I don't have any regret. But if I may tell you my background or what happened in the House, my colleague gave me almost 7 names. They call me transparency. They call me accountability. They call me good governance. They call me equality. They call me due process. And they call me Iroko. How did they call me Iroko? I used to... there's a popular thing I used to say in Yoruba that Iroko to say bedu bedu. He says the fact that the Iroko tree has fell down behind the house of a sculpture does not mean that it's merry or Christmas has started. No. If you go to Ife, Lamidi Fakaye at the front of Oduduwa Hall, he made the statue of Oduduwa. I think if he has a Lamidi Fakaye, only God knows number of days or months or probably year that it took him before he was able to come without that thing. So if you look at the whole impeachment saga, you look at my person, the names they call me are spoken for me. Everything boiled down on the local government affairs. The summary of the whole things on local government affairs. I stood against deduction from local government. Money were being deducted. And up to today, that's a solid state. If you look local government in your state today, they couldn't do a kilometer road. Not quite long. I stumbled on the social media. The state government asked local government to identify 5 kilometer road to be tarred. I'm in Lexington State and Lexington City, a city of 30-something thousand people. Only there are 440 blacks in this community. Not quite long. I got a mail. They said we should give the counting idea of what can they do with $500,000. $500,000 in Naira is 350 million naira. I was even planning that I will write a proposal. I have 3 or 4 proposals to write to the council. That is governance. Does state government need to turn road for local government? Is that not capital flight? At the end of the day, the state government will look for contractors maybe in Ibadan or elsewhere or in Lagos or Delta or Warri or Bayelsa or Kano or whatever. Is that not capital flight? So essentially what really happened then was that that was a deduction from local government money. And we got a point in time, I met Governor Ladoja and I told him my mind. He said, what do you want? I said, Your Excellency, stop the deduction from local government money. And that particular day, he made a call to Senator Agbola, and it was stopped. And unfortunately, majority of our members have been indebted. I was the only person in the Western Assembly that have never taken a loan. I don't have I don't have children, so what do I need to take loan for? And my religion forbade me to take a loan. Initially, my member took 2 million naira. Later, they took 4 million naira. It was just a long story, but to cut the whole story short, I wasn't found guilty of any criminal or any offense. The way I'm staying very well today is 100%, more than 300% better than the Speaker's house. There's nothing in the Speaker's house. There's no generator within the dining area. It got a point in time. I was using plastic chairs. There was nothing. That my cook there in Yabiki, I've not seen her for the last 18 years. He was using stove, but not conventional cooker. The conventional stove, the one they used to buy They used to sell for 1,000 naira. That's what you use for me to cook. No generator or anything. And I was happy doing my job. But you see, politicians, they will always be politicians. People want to build houses. People want to buy cars and marry wives. Have society avoiding all those kind of things. Those are the misplaced priority that is affecting our society. And me that maintain my principle, people are calling me names.
All right, hold on, Honorable Barrister Yomi Ogunola is here. He has one or two things to ask you and speak with you before we go to the think tank with Governor Seyi Makinde.
Yes, Honorable, good morning.
Good morning, my brother, sir.
I envy you for where you are. Yes, so because Nigeria is very, very hot.
But now, you need to work in America. They don't dash person $1 over here. But the irony of what is that, sir, is so disgusting. You do a manual job here within 6 months, you can buy a car.
Oh yes.
At least a manual job you can get 2,000. The irony of voting, the paycheck is within 2 weeks. You can get $1,000. So in a month you can get 2,000. Minus expenses, you get 800 or 900. So within 3 or 4 months, you buy Toyota Corolla.
Now, Honorable, from the account you have given us, it appears that yourself and the governor then, Ladoja, were on the same page.
Absolutely.
Who were instrumental to your so-called illegal impeachment then?
Well, I can say for the first time, because I need to, truth must be told. I appreciate Governor Ladoja, not for anything, because thank God your Tonluba is alive. We pray for his longevity of life and good health. The governor cannot say there is a day he gave Alarato $1 contract. He can't say that. He cannot say he gave Alarato 200,000 naira as a person. Probably the highest he gave me was 100,000 naira. That day I was praying. I'm talking about me as a person. And but because of the fact that the governor is so, he has a mindset to develop Oyo State. I never knew the governor from Adam, apart from when we got to the house. And in fairness to him, he did not for one day dictate or influence me to do anything. Even when we removed the chief judge of Oyo State, I called the governor, Your Excellency, I have a proposal, I have a petition before me for those. He said, no, do as it pleases you. But one thing I have to say today, I don't know, CHIKE, you are so, I don't know, I mean, probably, Barrister, what you said now is just too...
Went back memory lane.
The governor made a mistake, and it cost him. And truth must be told. I was impeached illegally. For what? By my members. Before then, Baba Adedibu called me to later Ilara. I didn't honor him. Because I was more or less a self-made person from Shaki. People voted for me. I never have any godfather. I don't have any. My late father, my father just died not quite long, just 2 weeks ago. I love him dearly. May he so continue to rest in perfect peace.
Please accept our condolences.
When I got into the house, he instructed me to go and build a public building. That was the first thing my father told me. He said, go and do this thing. People will never forget in your life. So it was more or less our members. When Abadedibu called me through Ayilara is of blessed memory. May the God continue to rest his soul. Well, I didn't honor him. But you see, like I said earlier, it was more or less the aspiration of the political class.
Okay, Honorable, so what you're saying is Baba Adedibu actually influenced your impeachment, right?
He did now. Late Kaganeyo of blessed memory. He was the only person that apologized. Because the day I was impeached, he later called Baba at Iroko. And I learned Baba celebrated is that they kill cows, they kill a lot of things. But what I'm saying is this, the mistake of Oladoja made.
Did they serve you the cow meat?
Sorry?
Did they serve you the beef? Did you eat out of the beef?
How would they serve me the cow meat? Already they have got my...
But they served you breakfast at that moment.
Well, let me explain to my learned friends. That particular day, after, I think before then, they have been having a meeting in my deputy's house, Adeolo Adeleke. They have been having a meeting about Alarakpe is not this, Alarakpe is that, Alarakpe is this. But I thank God, all of them, dead or alive, none of them can say Alarakpe take 1,000 naira from the house. Even when Ladoja gave us 50 million naira to renovate the house, I did not take any cover. Senator Fatai Buhari, I got him to supply us 6 cars. He gave us 800,000 naira. I did not take 1,000 naira from that 800,000. All these things are on record. They should come out, face on face. Because Remi Oseni used to be the accounting officer then local in the House of Assembly. I said they should not spend the money. Baba Oyele is late now. When we were bragging, they said 800,000 naira, 32 members. That is 25,000 number. I'm not interested. Go with your 25,000 naira. So what I'm saying invariably is this. The mistake of Oladoja made, because I went to court, but it pains me. I'm saying for the first time. It was through Chief Michael Adegbite, the then chairman of PDP from Ghana. He called me. He said, we know you. You might not be interested. You might not be this. Go to court. I said, what is the point in going to court? They have attempted to impeach me 7 times. And all along, the governor and some lawyer member in the house that have been supporting me. What is my crime? My crime is that I don't want the judges to let me share the money. I also like money. If I don't have money, I won't be over here. I want to go to school over here now. There's no money. I have to look for money. But the money that is meant for people should be used for people. Whatever we are earning, we should be contented with it. So eventually, and I decided that, okay, they said I should go to court. Well, I will go to court. And I said, first and foremost, let me go and consult with the governor. I was with Governor Ladoja. I'm saying for the first time. It pains me to my marrow. Governor Ladoja was with Chief Kemi Jayoba and Baba Adigunrawo. Immediately, Governor Ladoja cited me. He cited me. He said, my former speaker. Wow. I was devastated. Hey, look at this man.
So what are you insinuating?
What am I insinuating?
Yeah.
It's for the public to judge. Let the public judge. A speaker that the governor, I did two projects for Governor Ladoja. He cannot say give me money. He cannot say give me contract. He cannot say somebody serve as a post to me. My brother, with all humility, if I'm in the developed society like America, that play politics over here, that would have catapulted me into higher places. It's not self-glorification or self-aggrandizement. These are facts.
Honorable, because for the sake of time is not friendly now. I'll be handing over to Professor Remi Ayede right now. Okay, let me ask you this question quickly. You are part of the think tank of Governor Seyi Makinde when he was campaigning to become governor, right?
Professor Ayede is our team lead.
Oh, okay. Now it's interesting. Now, all the things you people brought out for the governor to do, has he done any one of them? Are you still in talks with the governor? Do you still speak with the governor? I mean, Governor Seyi Makinde?
I think, like I said,
we have 3 minutes.
You have to be decorum in this kind of assignment. Professor Ayede is our team lead. I should be asking him because.
Okay, Professor Ayede, do you still speak with the governor, Governor Seyi Makinde?
Not at all.
Does he still pick your calls?
As soon as we won election, we are no longer relevant.
You are no longer relevant?
Yes.
Honorable Mukala Rakwe, are you still relevant with Engineer Seyi Makinde?
You see, there's one thing I appreciate with Professor Ayede. I don't know, probably because of his background. We did some assignments, and I was dazed, and it amazed me. In fact, I insisted that I have to told those questionnaires. He drafted the questionnaires, so I have to take it to OGBOGU, where I come from. Incidentally, the result of the questionnaire was the exact result of 2019 election.
Yeah.
So, is it 2019 or 2011?
2015 election.
2015. It was Governor Seyi Makinde that commissioned us, and according to the data that the questionnaire sent out, and the Professor Ayede with his own another team, we are not part of it. It's more of technical. They came out with a result that gave Governor Makinde fourth position. And eventually it came forth.
Unfortunately, Honorable Alakwe, for sake of time, because another program will be coming up now, we'll be engaging you next week. Let's do part 2 next week. We'll do an extensive one next week by the special grace of God. And next week we'll start early. Hope you connect early too.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
No problems. No problems. No problems. Apology granted. So next week we'll continue this discussion. Dear listener, next week, Honorable Aziz Alakwe will also be a guest on the podium. We'll open up many issues. There are many secrets he needs to tell us. There are many things hidden inside him. He will open it up. He likes telling the truth. He's the hero.
I think you have to delete that one to when I put up my book, The Lone Ranger.
All right.
We look forward to reading it.
All right. Thank you for featuring on the podium this morning.
I appreciate everyone. Thanks so much.
Yomi Ogunlola and Professor Remi
Professor, I really appreciate you.
Yeah, it's good to see you again.
For being with you for the time and then the opportunity. I appreciate each and every one of you.
All right.
CHIKE,
thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I worked alongside Kayode Obisheson, Gbemisola Falona, and Kemi Alademeyin, this morning. Until I come your way next week. Honorable Alakwe will also be live on the podium next week. We have many things to expand. This discussion will be, widened by next week. Thank you, Prof, for featuring on the podium this morning.
My pleasure, always.
Thank you, Barrister, for featuring.
It's always a pleasure.
I hope you continue the exercise this morning.
Oh, definitely.
I am CHIKE OGBOGU. Enjoy your weekend. Up next is Ija Odola with Tobilola Ogun Shinoa, the one you know as War Kiluma.
32 FM.
Ìkànnì adẹ́rìn-pòṣónú.
32 FM.
The Power